The Rules and Legislative Committee, all the members are present and accounted for. And now it's, I believe we're ready for a prayer. John Carney is going to give the prayer.
Will you pray with me? Almighty God, we thank you for the opportunity to come together to discuss the business of this community. We thank you, Lord, for our democratic system and for the opportunity it gives for decisions to be made in a fair and open manner. We ask that you would bless this evening and the comments that are made, that it might be edifying and that it might lead to the right decisions. We ask all this in your name. Amen.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is approval of December 20th, 2022 Rules and Legislative Committee minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Next item is consideration of placing the January 10th, 2023 Commission minutes on the February 14th, 2023 County Commission agenda.
Make a motion to place those on the agenda without a recommendation.
There's a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Next item is consideration of placing the notary applicants on the February 14th, 2023 County Commission agenda as requested by County Clerk Donna Thomas.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Next item is a veterans report. It was in our packet. It looks like there were 44 veterans that were transported to the hospitals and 41 visits to our office here in the courthouse. Do you have any updates, Mike?
Just to let you know that Pam is retired.
Okay.
Robertson is retired. We got a new addition to it. His name is Benjamin Healy. And he starts training with the Tennessee Department of Veterans Services on Monday.
It's good. Well, good. Do you recall how many years Pam had worked in the office?
She worked a total of 11 years.
11, well, good. Well, she'd be congratulated.
Yep.
For that. Okay, well, good. Well, tell her thanks, and hoping the transition goes well for you. Okay, is there a motion to approve the veterans report, or is there any other questions or discussion?
Move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The next is a community clinic report, the medical part of it. I believe there were 76 patients that were seen by Dr. Luva and Dr. Taup. They both were physician volunteers, and I believe they were the dental is not as I think it's 23 in the dental. It's a little less than it has been. And Dr. Gray's been doing the work there, but they are also providing free lung scans and free mammograms as well now. So it's expanded. Some of the services has expanded. As we know, they provide a very valuable service to our community. That's just for our own information. Okay, I think the Agriculture Center Board met, didn't they?
We did.
Commissioner Anderson, you want to bring us up to date on that?
Like a lot of us, we had a real issue Christmas Eve with water, as we had in a lot of places. Our pipes froze in Building 1, had quite the mess. We had guys come out and fix it with the county and some other folks, and we were able to get that back under control. So we had a big issue there, but Helen and the guys worked real hard. We got everything fixed, working on painting and fixing everything back up. It hit a lot of our facilities here, not just Ag Center. I know it hit Dover Street and some other places, so that cold front really hit us pretty good.
I know your grant was approved for your bathrooms.
Yes.
What's the update on the restrooms
Update
in
on
the
the
building?
restrooms is our bid came in so ridiculously high. Okay, so the grant was basically, we got $50,000, we matched 12, so that left you with 62 to build basically like a ball field. You know, you go to a high school game, it's the little restroom. We made it ADA compliant and everything. Well, and it was also going to do the lights in building 2. We were going to go to LED lights, which would really been nice for everybody. The lowest bid we got was $245,000. Another one was $260,000, another one was $272,000. But we are gonna sit back, and I'm gonna sit back with Robert Daniel and, Mr. Kleindance, and we're gonna try to work, see if we can work another way, but that's just way too much. I mean, we don't have that kind of money. And basically, that restaurant, 624 square feet, it would've been $425 a square feet to build a bathroom. I know school construction's high, but it's not $425 a square foot. So that really was disappointing to us. But hopefully, we can work on something to come up with something.
Maybe you can find some other construction people that can do it for a little less. I don't know. Whatever. Okay, any other discussion or question concerning the Ag Center? Okay, the next, item is the, resolution to amend the zoning, resolution of Bedford County. It was proposed by, Commissioner Anderson. Do you want to bring us
Yeah,
up?
I wanna make a motion to defer it, because I think Commissioner Hooker and I are gonna reach out, make quite a few changes to the document and send it to the Planning Commission, and work with the Planning Commission, and see if we can all come up with something that everybody can agree to.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I think Commissioner Anderson and Commissioner Hooker and Mr. Maddox, you need to really be careful on this, because I have reviewed this thing. First, let's have a little brief civics lessons here if we can. Our country is founded on a number of beliefs and principles. The consistent theme from the Declaration of Independence, the Articles of Confederation, the Constitution, is there will be no king and everyone has equal and individual rights. Every branch of government, the executive, judicial, legislative, all act independent of each other, and they all have different but equal functions. And when Tennessee became the 16th state of the Union in June of 1796, we adopted those same powers and those same principles. When Bedford County was created by the Tennessee General Assembly in 1807, when we split Rutherford County, we adopted the same principles of separation of powers. But our federal Constitution is silent on how to provide local governance or methods by which states transfer powers to counties. Therefore, each state is responsible for granting or limiting authority to each local branch of government. Now, in Tennessee, our local or legal standard is the Dillon Rule. And those of us who were at the seminar really got a good eye-opening experience about what the Dillon Rule and how we operate through that. It's really the rule of statutory construction, and the localities are granted only three powers: those granted in express words, those necessarily or fairly implied in or incident to the powers expressly granted, and those essential to the accomplishment of the declared objects and purposes of the corporation, not simply convenient but indispensable. And if there's any question of a locality having any additional powers or authority than those listed above, then the courts are to unquestionably determine that the state has the power and authority and not the locality. Now, I can go on about the Dillon Rule, but we'll drop a little further to that. The bottom line is counties are subdivisions, political subdivisions of the state, and we have to be granted that exclusive right to do these things, and we do not have the power on the county commission to do a number of the things that this resolution has. And the reason for that, and the purpose of it, is we do have the power to keep politics out of this process. So I'm just going to go through a couple of things on this resolution. As you review it, you can automatically dismiss Section 1 and 2. This will not be allowed. It violates every principle of the Dillon Rule. Section 4, Section 5, Section 6, Section 7 are most likely not to be allowed, because I've read those things over and over. And Section 10 is already in our zoning resolution. That's Section 8.070 on page 38. And the remaining language includes one issue of nonconformity and two issues of infringement. What bothers me the most is the veiled language and what this says in this resolution that's been before us. To me, it's nothing more than just an attempt to place approval or denying of subdivision into the hands of the county commission, which explicitly contravenes legislative language and once again puts politics into play. Just read TCA 137105. The commission cannot amend or modify zoning resolutions at will or on its own. Such actions must originate with the planning commission and then be forwarded to the county commission. You can also see TCA 133402A. The power was never granted for the county commission to do these things. Now, Section 8 involves notice. There may be some room for discussion. I don't know how significant that is, but the planning commission needs to be thinking about how it could interact with that. But Section 9 is the real problem. And And that's where this resolution proposes town hall meetings for any decision that is made. Notice of publication, cost and additional staff. How far and how does this affect those people who want to sell their property out there? If we adopt something like Section 9, we're going to delay process. We're going to place roadblocks and undue burdens on every single zoning modification and zoning variance, but worse, it's going to inhibit family members from gifting property, it's going to handcuff realtors from selling property, and it's going to deny residents the ability to even lock in their financing. Folks, it's just a bad idea. It's a horrible idea. It's a corrupt bargain designed for nothing more than sheer, unvarnished, good old boy politics at its very best. If the grandparents wanted to gift a simple lot, this concept in Section 9 would take 6 months of bureaucratic meetings and procedures. If a realtor wants to sell the clients the property, they'll be subject to countless delay and undetermined timeframes, meaning they can't even find a closing date. If a home buyer tries to lock in a mortgage rate, lenders will never agree to the timeframe that this resolution imposes. Simply put, this resolution does nothing but hamstring every single buyer, home seller, homeowner, small businessman, and resident of Bedford County to these sheer draconian measures unlike any other county in this state. And for what? And that's easy. It's political power held by a few county commissioners who are trying to play a game here. Now, I've seen some really bad legislation. I've been around a long time, 40 years working with government. I've worked with the General Assembly, I've worked with the Congress, and now 4 years in county government. And this resolution rates among the most, quite possibly, the most disingenuous concept I've ever witnessed. And if we ever start on this road that allows substandard rules, political performance, and if it's accepted, and if nobody's held accountable, and then there's no consequences, that poor performance then becomes the new standard. I would encourage each of you in the audience to call your county commissioner, tell them to stop this foolishness, don't allow substandard rules performance, start dealing with the real issues face us in Bedford County, and let's quit playing silly political games. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Okay, it has been deferred back to the planning commission, so they'll be a part of it, and as you stated, they needed to be. So it has to be deferred, it's to go back to the planning commission, and it will be adjusted there, as according to you it should have been, and it probably was. So the motion is to defer back to the planning committee, so. I'd rather just, I don't want to get in an argument here, but we'll have one question. Yes, sir, go ahead.
I stand corrected and I apologize.
Okay, we've got that cleared up. There is, he's made a motion to refer take it to the planning commission.
Correct.
Is there a second?
Second. And
Okay.
is this but I want to make sure this is the 6-month one or
No.
That's
the other one?
No, that's
Okay.
a
coming up under new
moratorium.
business.
That's the last item.
Okay. So that's the
Is
one that
everybody-
was presented a couple of months ago,
Yes,
that the planning commission wanted to look at anyway, right?
Right.
yes, which they needed to look at it.
Okay. I'm just making sure.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, it goes back to the planning commission. Next, item, on the agenda is the county powers resolution. I think that's something Commissioner Vick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to pull that resolution. I don't know that we have the proper information in order for me to, in this environment, to explain that correctly, so I am going to pull that for some consideration on this. And
Okay,
at
so-
a date certain time, I will notify the commission of 30 days. If I decide to put it back on, a 30-day notice before we do that.
Okay, so I guess is that you gonna pull, is that
Pull for
table?
consideration.
Table it?
Okay.
No, it's pulled for
Pull.
consideration.
Okay, pull. Okay, is there any question concerning that? So there's a motion to be pulled.
Well, I've
from
just pulled it,
consideration?
I've just pulled it.
Okay.
I'm fine with it.
Okay,
It's just-
so we need to vote, or,
Nope, nope,
okay.
nope.
All right, so it's, not on the agenda. The next item is resolution instituting a 6-month, moratorium on all planned, unit developments and major subdivisions with more than 5 individual parcels.
Okay, so this came from the planning commission, correct?
I think so.
Yes,
correct.
Yeah, move to approve.
Second.
Okay, second, is there any discussion? Anybody have any questions?
Refresh my memory here, why are they wanting to have a moratorium?
I'll let,
Chris, you want? Yeah.
When you guys, voted on the plan unit development and the plan development, lots of issues were brought about at that time in the planning commission meeting and the county commission meetings that a lot of people were uncomfortable, didn't quite understand the plan development sections in the resolution and different things like that. And the planning commission just took it upon itself to recognize that it wasn't just plan developments that they wanted to take a stab at, but they actually want to look at some of the rules relative in our subdivision regulations, relative to road construction, a lot of different things like that, curb and gutter. They really wanted to study a lot of those items and give the planning department time to be able to study these things and report back to the planning commission without being inundated by new plans, new applications. So they recommended a 6-month moratorium that ends in exactly 6 months from the time period you guys vote on it, if you were to pass it next month.
And it also will take into account education, the effects of that. I noticed that here, and I thought that was well thought of too.
Yeah, I look at it from the standpoint of revenue for education. Even though we may add a few more children with a subdivision, we still have a lot of individual family homes coming here out of subdivisions. In the next few years, we'll have probably about 1,000 more students here in this county, based on our trends. So, the moratorium, I just don't want to back away from any revenue, because we're going to need it to fund education.
Okay, Commissioner Yaki?
Part of it too, Mr. Chairman, is, we just are trying to, with the planning commission, take as much of the politics out of this as possible and get a document that everybody, give and take, can live with, and to update it. Everything needs to be updated, and to give everybody some time and space to settle down and think, and get input from our constituents and the community as we move forward. But I've also asked Mr. White, let's move on with this so that, Johnny, we can get done before the 6 months. Let's move on. Not hurry, but let's hurry. And that way, if we get done before, then we'll move on.
Commissioner Johnson?
That is the goal, we've made a lot of progress so far, we've been working on quite a few things. And two, just to make you feel more comfortable, in the 13 years I've been in this job, we've amended it 13 times. So it's something that we do fairly often, and we've never had a moratorium before, but given light of some of the larger ordinance changes and, language in both the subdivision regulations and zoning resolutions, we do need the flexibility and the time to be able to focus on it more. And so I think, this resolution is very helpful.
Okay. Commissioner Johnson?
Clarification, Mr. White, that process, anybody that's already submitted, paid the fee, theirs would still move forward after today.
That's correct. The moratorium,
It's from any new submissions?
any new application.
Okay. Whenever the commission, okay. Thank you, that's all.
Okay, is any other questions or discussion? Okay, we ready to vote? So motion,
Yeah,
motion approved?
motion's on the floor.
Okay,
Approved in a second.
okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, under other business, I think, Commissioner Hooker's, homeless committee, has that, yes, sir, if you don't mind bringing us update on that. Any questions or discussion concerning that? Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Vick, you want to bring us a little update on the broadband?
Yes, I think Don Hobbs is here with United, and we had our presentation by the governor and the commissioner of ECD on Monday of last week. And we were awarded, was it 30, how much? 50? 30, I think it's $35 million here to help with our second phase of broadband in and throughout the county. As we all know, and this, we said a little bit about it at the commission meeting, but now the commissioner's here, we can ask a few questions if you have any. The first phase is already in place and they are working. The second phase will start soon in the next few months there as they transition through. But this is a huge project, and United has been an outstanding partner with us, as Duck River and Middle Tennessee Electric. And they have been just very helpful to us, and they're putting these areas that we would not normally be able to access with dollar amounts without significant help, and this is what they're doing. So this will be the second round, and Mr. Chairman, the third and final round will come from the federal government, where there is going to be $1 billion distributed to all the states. I don't know how much our share is going to be. The state is trying to put their plan in place now in anticipation of the funding that comes in, and that will be the third and most likely the final federal assistance we're going to get with broadband. And so I don't know how the plan is going to work out. I don't know, Don maybe has been involved more than I have, but I got a chance to talk to the governor and I told him how much we appreciated it, and the commissioner, and they said, you know, just let us know what we can do. And we're very pleased with where we are so far on broadband, and hopefully, I think we've got about 6,000 people so far. This should get another 6. I mean, that's a significant number for our county here, so. Well, we're a rural county and we need it. We need it for farmers need it, seniors need it, schools need it, and we also need to find out, Commissioner Yockey, if there is any school that does not have broadband access. I think they all do, but someone said that they didn't. Yeah. It's limited. Okay. Okay. Yep. Yep. So that's our update, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, good. That sounds great. We help 6,000 people, can help 6,000 more. That's a great service for
Yes,
our
sir.
constituents, particularly in sort of seems like the northeastern part of our county is the one that's in the northern part. Seems like it's the ones most affected and have been helped the most. But I'm sure it's other
Well, the
pockets
second
as
round
well.
should get those others too.
Well, great. That's good. Everyone that's worked on that committee and the others is to be commended. Okay, does anybody have any questions concerning broadband? Okay, the other is, as we mentioned, the Bureau of Ethics requires all of us to have a statement of interest. So you got 2 weeks now. You have to file it by the end of January. I know this year they require us to have another password. I had trouble getting in. I had a big problem. Did you as well? Well, they forced us to this time, and it was a mess trying to get it.
I didn't have to
I
change
didn't have to change
mine.
mine, but I did mine before Christmas. Did that matter? I did mine back in like,
Well,
Yeah,
maybe it did,
I don't
but
know.
we
I
had to change our
I didn't change mine either.
passcode,
I
and it
didn't have
was,
any problem.
we like to never got it. We had to contact the central office. Huh,
I did it on my phone
I'll
too.
say.
I did on
I don't
computer,
even
so I
have
had
a
trouble.
computer.
Okay, but you gotta file it. If you have any trouble, I guess the county mayor's office would be glad to help you. Suzanne helped us to finally get through to, with our, statement of interest. I think in January, and the rest of the committees need to as well, you need to elect a chairperson and assistant chair for the rest of the year. I don't know if it's on there, but I hadn't even thought about it till late. But we do, and normally do it in January, so, it's open. We need to elect a chairperson and assistant chair to this committee. And the other committees behind law enforcement and courthouse property need to do the same. It's done every January. You elect a
You gonna do it tonight?
oh, yes, yeah, the
Make a
floor is
motion.
open.
Make
I
a
nominate
motion.
Chairman
Make-
Fair.
There you go.
All right, is there a second?
You got it again, Bill.
Guess it's, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and the floor is open for the assistant chair.
Who is our assistant chair now?
Ed Castleman was.
Oh,
Was
Councilman,
Mr.
okay.
He
So
had
we
been
don't
for
have
12 years.
That's right.
He'd served, with me, he was assistant chair every year I was, which was 12 years.
Well, if we make do by seniority, I guess it's Bill, so. I'll make a motion for Bill to be the assistant.
Okay, it's a motion for Bill Anderson to be assistant, seniority, I suppose. Okay, is there a second? I'll second it. Okay, so we can have a vote. So we gotta have one, so, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so, Commissioner Anderson is the assistant chair to the rules. Any other business to come before the committee? I think that's got everything.
Good job.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to
So
adjourn.
moved.
Okay, thank y'all.
the Law Enforcement Committee meeting to order. Roll call, all is here. If you'll bow your heads, I'll say a word of prayer. Our most gracious, kind Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. And Father, we just thank you for the many blessings. Father, we just ask that you go with each and every one of us and lead us and guide us and direct us, that everything that we do may be pleasing to you. In Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that. How you doing? Well, I'm glad.
Next thing on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of December 20th, 2022, Law Enforcement Committee.
Make that motion.
Got a motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Next will be the reports. First up is animal control.
Let's see.
Couple of things to add to the report. Just like karaoke. Here, I don't do karaoke, you don't wanna hear that.
Just say the mic so we can hear you.
Okay, I just have a couple things to add to the report. I crunched some numbers today, and we did maintain our no-kill, which anything under 10% for the year in the state of Tennessee lets us be no-kill. We ran at 6.5%. We did take in quite a few more animals last year than we did in 2021. 2021, we took in 556. This past year, we took in 714. With that being said, we've already taken almost 60 animals in this month. So, yes.
Is there any way to know what drove that number up? I mean,
I,
are we just reaching in there and pulling out an idea? Or?
From speaking with other directors and department heads in Middle Tennessee, we're kind of all on the same page in believing that times are tough. Food is expensive. Every vet clinic I know have had to go up on payments, and medical supplies, they've went through the roof. We've been very careful trying to keep things down, but I looked at microchips the other day, and they went up almost $2.05 a microchip. Now, when you start inserting 500 microchips, that's a lot of money. That $2 adds up. So I just think that it's hard times, and people just trying to make it. That's kind of what and then of course,
Food price.
yeah, and spaying and neutering. We just don't have enough people spaying and neutering their animals.
Didn't you have one group that you had to rescue a lot at one time that got
Yes.
in trouble?
Yes,
that,
it was 39 dogs and 2 foxes.
Yeah, okay.
That is actually still an ongoing case.
Oh,
Yes, ma'am. That case did end up getting 4 felony counts of cruelty and 24 counts of just regular cruelty. So we have aggravated, which is your felony, and then 24 of regular animal cruelty.
I think I'm right about this, but you could clarify. When we talk about no kill, and certainly we want to have that status, and
Yes.
we do, that's great. But there are certain circumstances where it's appropriate to put the animal down. That's how we arrive at the 6-point-something%.
Yes. So if we believe that an animal is too aggressive, if I'm not going to take it home to my family, I'm sure not going to send it out to anybody's, because public safety is our number one, and rabies control. That's why we're there. So if an animal is just so highly aggressive, we will not send that animal into the public. If they have been injured beyond reasonable care, crushed pelvis by a car, I mean, we're going to do the most humane thing for that animal.
Any further questions for animal control?
Thanks, guys.
Next will be the Sheriff's Department.
As you probably noticed on our activity sheet, there was a lot of question marks. Quite honestly, that whole report may be one big question mark due to the fact our computers and all were down at times. Our jails, basically we were operating on pencil and paper for 2 weeks or more. So I'm not sure how much of that activity report's going to be correct, but I guess it'll be close. On our drug task force report, there was 11, this is it for December, there There was 11 investigations, which included 18 defendants. One firearm was seized, $6,272. United States currency was seized. One vehicle was seized. Marijuana, crystal meth, 354 doses or pills were confiscated. The agency investigated 5 previously convicted felons, two of whom were out on supervised felony parole, probation, or community corrections at the time of their offenses. 4 defendants were out on bond from previous arrest at the time of their most recent offenses. On our courtroom report, again, for the month of December, a little bit slower, of course, obviously being the month of December. There was 841 cases on the docket. And in attendance through the month of December, 3,732 people were in the courtroom during that month. Next month's report on the Drug Task Force is probably going to knock your socks off. They really did some good work. And we're not talking about hundreds, we're talking about thousands of probably fentanyl. But anyway, as I say, that'll be on next month's report, but we're real proud of them. And actually, that case was not in Bedford County, it was in our neighboring county, but you know, that stuff it don't know county lines, so it goes everywhere. But that's my December report.
Have any questions for the sheriff?
Chairman, I have a comment. Can I?
Yes, sir.
Here.
Oh, here.
Mr. Sheriff, I just wanted to take a moment to say that I took the opportunity to go visit the jail facility last night, and I took the time to talk to Lieutenant Cook at length, and had the opportunity to go through the MRT class for the first time, and it was extremely impressive. And I just want to publicly say that I think that he's done a great job with that program. You could see his heart and his passion, and it was a great privilege and honor to kind of hang out there last night and be a part of that class. So I just wanted to commend you for those efforts and say that I sincerely appreciate it.
He is very passionate. And speaking of that, we have Ronald Prince back there for the jail report, or if y'all want.
Come on up here, brother. Hey, I don't want you to waste. Let everybody hear you. And
I got a loud voice so everybody can hear me anyway.
it's going beyond this building.
Oh, okay. So we had a total of 13 crews go out with 18 people on there, and we saved the county a total of $14,440 for the month of December.
Great.
Any further questions for sheriff or jail?
Fantastic.
There'll be 10. We invite the public, please.
Sure.
Quite impressive.
Any further questions? Hearing none, next is EMA report.
I don't have anything to add. I will touch on a couple of things. New building. We have got paint and fresh carpet, not clean carpet. I won't say fresh carpet, but clean carpet. We've set offices up, ready. We can move in functionally, operations-wise. We like a little bit. They should start on our fencing here pretty soon. That has gone through, and we have talked to them, so we'll be able to move equipment. I think they said it would take them a couple of weeks to get that fencing done, but at that time we can move things that we need secure. But office-wise, we have moved in. We're working with IT when they get a chance, given what they're going through right now, to get offices set up. So that's moving forward, and it's looking good. I told somebody earlier, we're a truck and trailer move every day, so as we do our other stuff. I just wanted to also touch base about the Vivint nursing home evacuation. We supported EMS. I don't think Adam's here from EMS. Kudos, he was there too. But that was an awesome job with them, and it was a good coordination with state health and EMS. We had basically a strike team come in from other counties. We had Wilson County, Sumner County, Rutherford County, Moore County. Did I leave any out? There was, and it was very well done. Ted and Chris should get kudos for that. We had to move those people. We were out there about 9 hours helping with them, but just wanted to say that just another example of how we all work together. So, if there's any questions?
Have y'all started your, excuse me, your school disaster?
Oh, yeah, we can. So, we have done one. We're going to touch, I think I talked about it last time. We're going to touch every school in the next 2 months. We did Aiken Elementary last week. We have them planned. Yep. We have them planned just about every week, if not 1 or 2 or 3 days, to get those done. So yes, we started that. We're also talked to the school system about later on, probably in the spring, sometime in that time frame, doing a active shooter drill. So we're looking at that and working with them also. I think in February there's a teachers conference. Is that correct? Is that what they called it? Training. So we're looking at possibly doing some stuff with them also on that, on some safety stuff. So yes, that continues just about. Well, it's going to continue every week for the next 2 months. So. Okay, yeah, we had a TVA, this is going to sound bad, TVA dam exercise. It's Normandy Dam, if something should happen with that. Ourselves, well, Coffee County, Bedford County, Marshall County, Murray County were some of the players that it, of course, obviously, if something happens at Normandy Dam, it will mostly affect Bedford County. So we had an exercise with TVA today to talk about notifications, what our plans were, how we would handle certain situations and time frames and things like that. So that's an ongoing process. We got some ideas to look at some things about evacuations and things of that nature. So it was a very beneficial exercise. It was geared, I had, and I know some of our public safety people may have been a little bored. It didn't include as much public safety as I thought. It was more administration type thing, but at least they'll have the idea of what we go through or what we're having to do for the whole picture and how it all gets started. So it was a very good day with that.
Any further questions for?
Good job.
Thank you.
Next will be the juvenile detention report. Can you have a copy enclosed?
I don't have anything to add to my report unless you guys have any questions for me. Nope.
That's the only one.
Amen.
All right, thank you.
No bucket brigade, so
Probation?
here's probation.
He is gonna sing.
Yes, I am going to sing. No, y'all don't want that, trust me. I do not have anything at this time to add. Of course, numbers is down a little bit. December holidays, court shut down, and our software was down for a while. So I'm not 100% sure this report is completely accurate, but we did our best to catch up the data and things like that. So.
Any further questions for probation? Hearing none is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think probably a lot of the sheriff's department and probation and their system was down due to the flooding that we had at Dover Street, which took some of the equipment down, and I know Josh has beating the doors down, trying to get the parts and get them back running, but he did have things going probably within 12 hours, I think. A lot of it back up and functioning, but there were some parts that he had to replace, so.
All right, and he reports next committee, so he'll get into the
Yeah, he'll get
details
into all
of that for you.
All right, now we need a motion to approve the reports.
Make a motion.
Second.
Have a motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any other reports, this committee? Hearing none, old business?
New business. Mr. Chairman, I guess we need to do the election of chair and vice chair.
All right, floor is open for nominations.
I nominate Mark Thomas, chair.
Second.
All right.
Third.
Absolutely.
Any further? You want to make another?
No, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, well, that one's done. All right, and now you got your vice chair.
Vice chair.
I nominate Sylvia Pinson.
I'll second that.
Any other
Any
nomination?
other nominations?
All in favor? All
Aye.
Us?
All right.
Us.
Okay.
Yeah.
401K and
And
all
then,
that stuff.
under
Right.
announcements, of course, Biff mentioned it in the other committee, but your statement of interest, if you're elected official, you got to make sure you get that in. Our office is happy to assist you. It can be a little tricky. Sometimes it goes right in, sometimes it doesn't, but we're available to help you if you need it. Just don't let the date pass you.
All right. Any other business? Hearing none, make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Fourth, out.
I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order for the Courthouse and Property Committee. If everybody will bow their heads, please, we'll have prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for the many blessings you've given us. Please help us to make the right choices for this county. In Jesus' name, amen. I believe we have everyone present. Yay. The first rule of business is the minutes approval for December 20th for the Courthouse and Property Committee minutes.
Move to approve.
Okay, all in favor? All opposed? Okay, next is codes, and I have those reports. I just have not passed them out. Go. I'm going to, if I can get it off. Let's see. There we go.
As you guys can see on the top of the front page of the report there, the number of new home permits issued in 2022 were 175 homes. That's up just slightly over 2021, which was at 171. Total revenues are also up for the year over year, for the prior year. Any questions on any of that information? We're not really seeing a slowdown yet. Still steady stream of applications coming in for permits, although they kind of shift a little bit. They become remodel jobs or accessory structures versus new home construction.
I think you did great. Thank you. Okay, planning and zoning.
I don't know if I'm too close to you guys or not.
You're good.
Of course, my report, you guys have a copy of my report, or you should have a copy of my report. One thing I do want to do tonight is introduce you guys to my deputy. He's here with me tonight. He doesn't normally come to these meetings, but I do want to talk a little bit about some of the things that he's been doing. One of his responsibilities is in our department is mapping. And of course, our goal for many, many years is to be able to put custom maps online on the county's webpage under the planning department, so that people have visual information tools to be able to make better decisions when it comes to investing in property or buying property for the possibility of building homes or whatever, or even commercial property where they're looking for property that's zoned a particular way. And having that sort of access to that information instantly is enormously beneficial to especially realtors and people that are in the business, builders especially. But we can't discount the importance to the average person who's out there just looking for a piece of property to build a home on as well. Another thing that, of course, one thing I will say is after years of struggling with towards this goal, because it's an enormously complicated process, Blake Burleson, he's my deputy, Blake was able to get our zoning map not only completed and online and available to the average Joe online, but it's a very searchable document as well. And you can put your address in there, you can put a map and parcel number in there, you can search it a number of different ways. You can also search visually. It's a visual map, so you can zoom around and hover in and zoom out, and that kind of thing. The next round, one thing we're almost complete with now is flood maps. I want to give people in the county an opportunity to be able to visually look at their property and see how it is or isn't affected by flood zones or floodways. Also, for future investment purposes, same thing. You always want to know that kind of information. If you go to the county's website, to the planning department's page, you'll see that there's a lot of inactive links, and all of those things are things that we have in the works about to be placed on the page. So again, the goal is just to provide a lot of useful information, a lot of visual information that it's difficult to convey to some people, and if they have to read it, sometimes it's better that they can just look at it. And so that's hopefully that ends up being a great tool for the public. And I wanted to introduce you to Blake. He's been responsible for that. Anybody have any questions about the report?
Yeah, with the 6-month moratorium, how is that going to affect the fees collected? How is that going to impact that long term?
It will affect it for subdivision applications. It won't have an enormous impact on it because we're only putting a moratorium on PUDs and major subdivisions. So although we do occasionally get major subdivision plans, we don't get a whole lot of PUDs. But it won't impact the traditional 5-lot or less subdivision plans, which we get quite often every week. So it shouldn't affect a whole lot. Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you. Okay, next is IT.
Thank you. I didn't have a written report this morning, but I did want to address what we went through in December. We went through a flood in our department. The building, I was contacted by one of my systems, notified us that it wasn't working properly on Christmas Eve. So in normal fashion, we went ahead and remoted into the system securely to check out the server, and the status of it was not looking right. So I came into the office, and when I arrived, there was a lot of flooding taking place in my office. It was quite extensive. The water got most of my equipment. All of my equipment in my office was damaged, and the furniture and the flooring and the wall, and so we quickly moved those systems that we had in my office to another location in the building. After I contacted the fire chief, Mark Thomas, and also contacted maintenance supervisor Tim Leverett, and they came on site to help me. They also contacted the finance department, and so with the firefighters that showed up, Mark contacted some firefighters. They showed up to help us move some water away from our office. But Austin and I, my assistant director, Austin Defoe, showed up on Christmas Eve to help us move those systems out of the way so we could get them away from water. We moved them to a dry location where we were able to recover all of the servers. We have 15 running. We were able to recover 14 of the 15. The one system that was down was ISOMS. You've heard us talk about ISOMS. It's a reporting server for the jail, and the probation department also uses that server as well. It was down. We did not lose any data in the event. We had it all backed up and replicated, but we did have a server that was damaged, so we weren't able to migrate those virtual machines to another server. We only had one because the other one was damaged by water and it was not functional anymore. We went ahead and ordered the system. We rebuilt the server as soon as we could get the parts in. It being a holiday, it was difficult to get vendors to ship the parts that we needed to rebuild the server. So the system, ISOMS, was down for 12 days. And when it came back on, the system was exactly where it was whenever it was suffered damage on Christmas Eve. So currently, my office staff is located in an adjacent office that was vacant. However, we're moving around as we can while we wait for the insurance company, and the folks came in right away and started working on getting our suite, all the items moved out of our suite so they could dry out and find out the total damage of it. And then the insurance adjuster showed up right away after that, and we declared the items that were damaged to the insurance company. They have a full list of the items that were damaged. We submitted that to them. We were able to go ahead and rebuild the servers, have them running at full capacity again. They've been at full capacity, so we felt like our office was pretty heavily fortified. We picked an office suite that did not have sprinklers. We were not exterior. We didn't have an exterior wall. We have a lot of walls between us to protect us from tornadoes. We were right next door to the fire department administrative staff, so we feel like we're pretty good on fire. What we did not plan for was a water break in an office above us, adjacent to our office, but above us in another suite. So our office took most of the damage on the bottom floor, as well as the Suite 110 conference room, which you're familiar with, some of you. But that's about what I have on that. I'll be glad to answer any questions. I'm sure you probably have some, so.
Does anybody have any questions?
No? Thank you.
I know that was stressful for you and everyone else that helped you. Okay, next is fire department.
Madam Chairman, you have my report in front of you. I don't have anything to add to that report other than, we had these are unaudited numbers of the 1384, so we're in the process. As soon as the National Fire Protection Association sends us a form, we'll audit those numbers and get our dollar losses and all that. We have to report to them and the U.S. Fire Administration.
How about your staffing?
Right now, we've got a full staff today. Yeah, we don't.
I'm asking because it sounds like it's been better lately since.
It's been up and down. I mean, I think this is the first month that we've had a full staff. And we're working on some different policies right now to maybe help retain some of the staff that we have, so.
Does anybody have any questions?
Okay, GIS.
Don't have a lot to add to the written report unless there are any questions.
Does anybody have any questions for John? Not today, thank you. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve all the reports.
Motion to approve.
Okay, all in favor? All opposed? Okay, as far as old business, you've been handed out a county property list, and there was a couple errors I found right before I sent it to be printed. And one, I had to wait on Rhonda to send me a card to give me the update on it. And so if you'll change the date, it's been updated. It should be January 2023, not 2019. And the other thing is, if you can remove the second Harris Middle School that's on Elm Street, that we no longer own that, so please mark that one out. And the one thing that was not listed on here is something that I believe our mayor is about to talk to us about, is the HMS gym and field house. And I can tell you if you want to write it in underneath all the schools, just HMS, the old HMS gym and field house, it is Group E, and it is Control Map 078P, and it's 1.0 under parcel, and the current value was $165,600. Now, you may find something else that we've made an error. I did my best. I went through everything Rhonda gave me that was county property. I tried to make sure it was on here and updated. There is no doubt there could be some errors, but it's a lot. So if anybody finds anything that we missed, just let me know. There was one question I had, and I figured it out. I had sent something to Mark Thomas and had asked Rhonda about it too, and it was on the, let's see if I can find it. It was down here on the third sheet down where it says landlocked east of Whitaker Road. That was just, it's a landlocked piece of land that we had it apparently the county obtained it from where taxes weren't paid, and it reverted to the county. So that was, but it's landlocked, so that's on there. So everybody has a copy, and if anybody wants another copy, I have it here, or we can have it emailed to you. I'll tell you what, I'll just correct what I just said out loud, and I'll email it out. How about that? Okay. Okay. And Mayor, would you like to speak about the surplus?
Yeah, if you're okay with me to the side of you. Now, I believe whenever you said the HMS building and the field house, that should be Elm Street, and that was sold at bid. Gary King wound up with it, but that was a sealed bid, and it specifically was the gym and the field house. He was already in possession of the school.
So this should be taken out.
That shouldn't, yeah, that's no longer ours. Now, what could have caused a little bit of the confusion was there wasn't an actual additional survey made because he had the other property. And so it may have not, but that went through committee and commission approval, and the county attorney, drew up the description or whatever the right term is for that. So that one should be no longer ours.
I'll fix it and email it out.
There you go. And if you send it to our office, we can send it out if you like, or however you would want to do it. We will do that for you. And we can even do hard copy and mail if you wish on that. What I did want to put under new business for you guys, if that's where you're at on this, is we talked about, I updated you guys a month or two ago about trying to figure out how best to move forward on the old jail, not the historic jail, but the jail that we just decommissioned, you might say, last year. Originally, I thought that I was going to have to see how to salvage or have somebody come in and gut it before it could be removed. It's been brought to my attention that we can actually bid for someone to give a dollar value positive on our side for the contents inside, and then a bid in that same package to demolition it and haul it off. Talking with Robert, my understanding is technically the commission needs to declare it surplus so that we could go to bid on that. Now, we don't necessarily have funds set to be able to do this just yet. So it would probably need to be in next year's budget, unless for some reason it's fairly much a wash between what they think they can get for what's inside it versus what it would take to tear it down. But we don't know that. We need that number to be able to understand whether we want to do that or not. But I'd say that whole story to say to you, it would still have to come back to the commission, because at a minimum, there would have to be a budget amendment to do the project, and it's highly likely that it would need to be added as consideration for the next budget year. So you're going to get another chance to see it and get an idea what it's going to take to take it down. But to be most correct, we should declare it surplus, which has been the standard way we've done. We did the same thing with the gym. We've done the same thing with all the other properties that we've ultimately disposed of. So that doesn't mean we sell it tomorrow, but it puts us in the right position to act on it if the stars line up.
So what do we need to do?
Ideally, I'd like for somebody to make a motion to send it to the commission to be surplus for proper disposal. Maybe we need to say it like that. Okay.
Is there any additional uses that building could be used in for any fashion that the county would need?
The building is uninhabitable, according to the state, was why the inmates and all had to come out of it. The pipes, the plumbing, everything inside it had been basically past repair and had been being repaired and handled and patched with the mindset that they were going out of there. Now, the property itself, I don't believe that the commission had any real vision, as far as I knew, about selling the property, just simply getting the property back at original state, you might say green space, however you'd want to say that, for the potential use for county needs for the future. The same strategy is afoot, you might say, for the old sheriff's office someday as well. But currently, because juvenile detention is housed in that facility, it's not really in a situation where we can do anything with that at this point.
Yeah, do we have any idea, I mean, rough estimate of cost? Because, I mean, I assume there is some remediation of asbestos and things like that that's going to have to be dealt with, and that, I'm not sure.
I'm not positive. Correct, and that's why if we declare it surplus, then we can go out to bid for that to be assessed. It does not mean that the county awards the bid or actually does anything with it, but my understanding is to be most correct, we got to get the property in the right status to go to bid to find that out. But but obviously you can reject bids or not act on it. And again, we don't have a large sum of money set aside to demolition that thing. We've got to figure out what the options are on it. But I'm thinking the same way you are. I don't know. And my understanding is if we were to bid it as you're responsible for everything outside, inside, and if there's some value in it, tell us what you would give us for those things, and then let us see how that computes. Because I don't know the answer to that either.
One other question, that did include that house next to it, is my understanding right?
Yeah, everything on that side, right, because they're all technically connected now as well. And again, that building, the old house part of that was, from the 70s. And the way it was chopped up and beat up before they rolled out of there, because I think the whole jail administration was basically in there, although it had been the sheriff's office many years prior to that. So it's got dips and waves, and it's been chopped up too. But I think the commission's thought was the value was to get control of the property before somebody gets in there and gets hurt, which could be a real problem for us, as well as get the space reset so the commission has something then to think about and look at for the future, whether they want it to be a part of enhancing downtown or actually potentially something needing to be constructed on there someday. So this is really just the step to get us in motion to find out and do our due diligence. But again, there's not money appropriated, so I couldn't act without coming back. There's going to have to be a budget amendment at a minimum. Probably would need to be something that would be put in the budget for consideration for the next coming year, which is right around the corner, by the way. Not the historic jail. This is the old jail that we just vacated. Right, correct. Right, and so part of the due diligence when we put that package together, we'll have to make sure those things are in there. And so that's why, again, my understanding was if we're going to ask somebody to bid on it, then we've got to be prepared to potentially take it, you know, if we have the ability to get it. So, right, all those things. And so we're going to need to circle back to you when the time comes on that as well. But it would not be the historic jail, and it would not be the current sheriff's office / juvenile. Now, the historic jail is to not be touched, period. But there is long-term thought that if we could take care of the old jail and justice center, that would, it's deplorable down there, guys. It's really bad. We've got to do something long-term there. Whatever we're going to do, however you want to proceed, the commission is going to have to make some kind of decision down there. So.
Would that include leveling out all that area so that it's?
I assumed, yeah, I would assume that the highway department, I've talked with him about just in general helping us, but I was under the assumption that once it was cleared and leveled, that we would want, of course, we got to make sure drainage is correct for the city and for ourselves, but also I would envision that maybe some type of gravel lot or something for parking, because that's a premium around here too. Or if there was festivals or something maybe that you wanted to have down there. We've talked about sometimes things aren't most appropriate on the square. We have a couple of fallback options. Yeah, but it all, right, the way you want it, right. Then we just have to go through budget and make sure that we have funds to set it up however the commission would want to do it going forward. I'm just trying to manage the building itself and get it down and properly disposed of.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Hey, and back to the old business on the county property list, there's another, I don't know what I was thinking when I talked to Rhonda. I guess I was having one of those days, but I meant to ask her for the card for the alternative school, because it's the one that's not on here, not the gym. So I had that messed up. So I'll get it fixed, and I'll get it updated with the right date on it and get it all right and get it to you, hopefully by tomorrow. Does anybody have any other new business? Okay.
I have some new business. Just a question. Since everybody's here that's might have some ideas. There's been some social media things about trash, just in lots or something, just kind of building up, people putting trash somewhere. Anybody got any ideas what we could do with that? If it's, I mean, it looks like we could do something about just somebody dumping trash.
Chris, correct me, with this county powers that Greg is working on, is that right? Might give us.
Oh, yeah, they withdrew that though, but.
As far as the county goes, and zoning, we have nothing available to help with it. But if this County Powers Act goes through, then we can set us up some parameters. But short term, I don't know. That's a mayor's question or the highway department.
I don't think that's where we're going, is where the Powers Act would be. The concern has been, there's Fly Road is behind me, and I've traveled that road for 16 years. And there's an area there where there's no housing, it's desolate, and they're using it for a dump. So there's no way to know where it came from, who's throwing it out, how it got there, but it is a mess. And so that's the concern that we're seeing on Facebook. That's what people are reaching out and contacting us for through the Facebook, is these dumping grounds. Having traveled that road and watched it for many years, when the convenience centers are closed, like through the Christmas holiday, it increases because people have loaded their garbage, they went to take it off, it's closed, they come back and they just throw it on whatever back road they're going down. It's unfortunate, but that's what's happening to a lot of it. Furniture, building supplies, dead animals, parts of deers, tires, you name it, and it's back there, and sometimes just plain garbage, and it is a mess. And when it started coming out, Sulphur Springs, Sim Springs Road down there below me has that problem, and then others in the county started naming the roads. So it's not really a Powers Act problem. It is just garbage that people are throwing out.
And I don't know what you do with random garbage thrown periodically. And I mean, there's no way really to traffic it unless you just, unless you have a camera that shows who's doing it.
You just pull up on the side of the road and chunk it.
Oh, they're not intentionally pulling into somebody's field.
No, we've got that too.
But you're
Well,
saying
you've got
is
that.
this one
particular field on Fly, like one particular lot, or all of Fly?
Well, it's, what it is, it's a wooded area on both sides. It's a little curvy path, and it's a swamp on one side of the road. And they just throw it all in this water. So y'all just imagine what this is,
Well,
what this is like.
last year, we also had an issue over by my house of people dumping tires.
Yeah.
And so it's just countywide. I mean, they're finding places wherever people are not traveling heavily and they're using it when the dumps are closed or it's shorter distance or whatever.
So essentially what we have is an issue where we have people dumping trash on private property. So, we don't have any powers to go onto private property and do any sort of cleanup or anything like that. The county does not have a property maintenance code. So in order for zoning to have any jurisdiction on trash, we have to adopt the property maintenance code, which means we have to hold owners accountable for trash or the maintenance of their property, and you could limit it to mowing their grass, or you could take it as far as you want. But now, whether or not we would have to first pass the County Powers Act in order to be able to, you might consider this a nuisance ordinance. I don't know. If it's a nuisance type ordinance that's under those powers, then we would have to pass the County Powers Act in order to enact that type of ordinance. But the thing that you have to be most familiar with is, if you're going to go down this path, is how much it costs. So the county Mark Clanton doesn't have skid steers and dump trucks and things that are assigned to go do property maintenance. So if you pass a property maintenance code to clean up one junkyard, I promise you, there's blighted property all over the county. And so if you've just seen the one on Fly Road, I promise you there's 50 more. If you haven't seen them, get in the car with me and I'll take you around. But there's a lot of it. If you're going to do it, we have to have the jurisdiction. We have to have the legal jurisdiction to enforce it and to hold property owners accountable. If, by law, if we declare that a piece of property has is creating some sort of danger to the general public, which is how we pass ordinances, it creates some health, safety, welfare issue. If we do that and we give a person 60 days, 90 days, whatever we give them to clean it up, we have to hold ourselves accountable at the same exact amount of time. So if they don't clean it up in 90 days and we warn them a couple of times and they do nothing, we have to do it, which means we have to be prepared to go out there with a team of people, the equipment, dump trucks, that sort of stuff, to clean it up ourselves. And then the only way that we can pay ourselves back for that is to put a lien on the property. So you're talking an entire budget for an entire division of people that clean up property, because once you do the first one, you're going to get complaints every day, all year long, and you'll be doing it all the time. You're going to have to pay for the cleanup. You're going to have to pay for the equipment. You're going to have to pay to put it in the dump with the tipping fees. You're going to have to pay more attorney's fees for the county attorney to be able to file these lawsuits against people to try to recoup our money back. It's an expensive endeavor.
Wouldn't you also have to have code enforcers you would have to hire to monitor?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. So
The only person you're punishing is the homeowner that's getting it dumped on. I mean,
Right.
that's the problem with it is you're not hurting the offender, you're hurting the people who they're dumping it on, and they're the ones who's reaching out to us for help, and now we want to, bring up something to charge them. I mean, I just think that that's going a little far with where we
That's
need to-
extreme.
I mean, if
the
the
only
property
thing is, we
owners
don't have
would
any
report it.
jurisdiction to do anything. So if you don't pass a proper code to enforce, then nothing can be done other than the occasional deputy seeing somebody throwing some trash out on the side of the road and getting them for littering. That's not going to solve the problem that you're talking about. So
We have several of the law enforcement committee members here. If y'all wouldn't mind bringing that back up during your meeting to ask the sheriff what we could do.
I do know that some of the deputies have gone through some of the trash and found names and contacted those people.
Yeah.
Now, where it went from there, I don't know, but I do know that a lot of times they'll look at the trash and see if they can get a name, contact them, tell them to come through.
Yeah, because to me, it sounds more law enforcement than what we need to be worried about, because we're just, anything we can do is only punishing the homeowner. I think this is something that if y'all wouldn't mind on the law enforcement committee bringing that up to the sheriff is something to see if there's a remedy that he might have.
Yeah, they already know.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a right-of-way problem. It's not a property owner's problem. It's the right-of-ways of the roads. Mr. Maddox had a comment or question.
Commissioner Maddox?
Thanks, sir. So just a couple of questions, and I think probably Commissioner Thomas would know, but do we have a cleanup crew for the sheriffs? Do we have a roadside crew? They do. So is there a list of, is there a list of like roads that they clean up on a regular basis?
The workhouse used to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I have called the highway department before when the big stuff is thrown out, and I would go by, and they would come out and pick it up. The mattresses, the couches, that kind of junk.
The second, I guess the second point, the one I really wanted to make was, I know that they recently just changed the hours at the convenience centers and made them a little more convenient for folks, but I know also when you talk to people and you get on the old interweb, you see that there's a lot of frustration because of the closed hours. A lot of that was because of the holidays, so there's really nothing that we could do. Everybody deserves that time off, but I don't know. It maybe possibly look at maybe extending those hours, or just do a reevaluating those hours of operation. There's no excuse for dumping trash on the side of the road or anybody's property, but I think the more convenient we can make that for those people that are going to do it, maybe they'll think twice about it. So it's just a suggestion.
For the New York commissioners that hadn't been around, when I got here 4 years ago, basically the convenience centers were set up like they were when they started it in the 80s, and really not much expansion, maybe adding a box here or there. We made some significant investments, over $2 million, I think, when it was all said and done, to bring in new compactors that will actually let the furniture be in the compactor, because even for myself, prior to being the mayor, and even after, I guess you might say, but if you did try to be responsible and get your couch in the back of the truck, and you're going to go on Saturday to dump it because your grandkid helped you put it in the truck on Friday, most of the time the furniture bins were full, and so they're going to turn you away. And so when we were looking at what we could do, we invested in the higher end compactors, where now furniture disposal is really not a big deal. I mean, it pretty much goes in with the regular stuff. We increased the number of units available. We've now moved the hours to 6 days a week for the 3 busiest locations, which is El Bethel, Tollgate, and Unionville. It is our goal in the next budget year to add another 1 or 2 till we get them all full-time. And when I say full-time, 6 days a week. We did adjust the hours where the hours are the same across the system. So we have made significant improvements there, but there's still work to be done. And keeping in mind that, we're growing at a fast clip. You can see it through the school system. And when you think about when these were put in the 80s, the population versus today, the convenience centers clearly have not kept up with that kind of growth when you look that far backwards. So there's still work to be done. We've made some big investments, and part of the investment we made was through COVID funds, because one of the things that was really shine light on about garbage was whenever people were said to stay home or not work, the consumables in the household really went up. And so we immediately saw significant more residential, which was not inappropriate to bring it, but we started seeing a lot more of it. And that triggered us to be able to use some of our ARP funds to make some of those investments and become a permissible expense, because they were seeing it all over the country. It wasn't unique to Bedford. So we have made some big investments there. There's more work to be done. It's been looked at before. There were people that wanted us to be open on Sunday. Within the funds that we currently manage and operate with, we're pretty leaned out, but it's certainly something that if the commission felt like that they could put some dollars behind it, I mean, we could be open 7 days a week. And I don't say that disrespectfully. I'm just saying, I mean, we'd love to be open. We're up to 6 days a week, and 3 of them is every day of the week, and we'd love to get them all on the same schedule and ultimately have a Sunday, even if it was just one location. But now people that are throwing stuff on the side of the road, to be honest with you, 99% of the time, in my opinion, I guess I couldn't say I polled them, but it wasn't because they couldn't dispose of it. I mean, we got bad actors. You got people that are just not going to follow the rule no matter what we do. But the more we make it convenient, that's important, and that's our constituents, and they're paying taxes to be here and have some resources. And so we've made some big investments, but there's more to be done there. But there has been we've made a lot of improvements there. We've got a vision for adding a location out on 231 South. That's sort of the one pocket of the county that's kind of not in the 5-mile radius concept of where all the convenience centers are. So there's some ongoing there. And to refresh your memory, the road superintendent does manage this for the mayor, but this is really the mayor's responsibility. We're just fortunate in Bedford that the former highway superintendents took it on as something that they would manage for the county, and it's helped us to not have to have a garage and have our own vehicles, and we do have vehicles that are designated to that, but you think about they kind of run a blend in the ways they're able to do that for us. It's certainly the most efficient way to do it, and actually we're the only one in the state of Tennessee, I think, that is doing it this way. Most counties have a full-blown solid waste department that is responsible for everything, has its own director, has its own people, has its own stuff, and so that's even more costly if we were to go down that road. But again, to be most correct, I think the day will come where we probably need to ultimately get to that, because it's become a real part of the business. I remember being told that two things that are always going to haunt you is waste and inmates, and not counting schools. Well, school's a good problem to have because we're educating our people for the future, but your solid waste is always going to be growing and expensive and figuring out what you're going to do with it, and then you're going to always have inmates. There's just no way out of it, and that's a dead cost, so to speak, in a lot of ways. So we continue to look at it. We're happy to work with any of you that's got ideas or seen stuff. We actually are open more hours than Rutherford. At one time, we had a commissioner that I think Rutherford must be open on Sundays. I don't know, or once a month on Sundays or something. They got some kind of way. And so we had a big study and looked at all that. But the truth is, our county, we're open more hours to the public than Rutherford was, at least at the time, unless they made some significant change now. But Sunday happened to be one of the days they chose to be open. And so, it's how you want to look at it, at a lot of that stuff. But it is a challenge, unfortunately, no matter what.
Okay, does anybody have any more questions related to that? Okay. Next on the new business would be we need to elect a chairman and a vice chair.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? All opposed? And a vice chair?
I nominate Drew Hooker.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Drew Hooker. Okay. Does anybody have any other business before we close? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.